Good morning, everybody. It's Marty, the JavaScript party. My buddy Rhett is in the living room. I should have grabbed her. I actually just forgot. Um, I am running a little late, as I have been lately in general. Let's see, npm. We are working on unit tests. It is Friday, the first day of May. It's 8:52 a.m. No, npm run test. Run test. And I am trying to get my unit tests up to 100% coverage. So I got them all passing. We had some issues, some very fascinating issues around like was basically around um, the request animation frame. That's a very important word if you want to do graphics at all. If you want to do any kind of graphics in a browser, you need to become comfortable with the request animation frame. Uh, so our request animation frame um, had an issue where, or in our request animation frame, while we're running unit tests, there's this unusual thing in which we are running um, um, or where the browser is still up and running, and still operating, but Angular has been brought down. And so what is happening is the request animation frame is like a function that you give to the browser that you say, hey, every time you're going to update the screen, can you go ahead and run this function as well? And I don't know, I don't think it's actually that way. I think what it is it's like you say, hey, can you run this function the next time you run the thing? And then, by the way, can you also add that function for next time too? And then that's kind of like how the uh, the browser will then be able to update the screen. And what it does is it updates it like faster than your eye can perceive changes. So it looks like a nice smooth turn when it's actually not. But you can't. It's happening. It's getting updated at it's attempting to update this 60 times a second. It's taking my function, and the function is saying, "Hey, go ahead and redraw this, but like slightly forward," and that's kind of how that works. But we are but the thing is like, and in general, what happens is when you're running code, your system, your whole framework is running the whole time the browser, the tab is open and you're at that page. And then when you leave that page, the request animation frame gets brought down and the framework code gets brought down. Like all the JavaScript gets brought down at the same time. But unit test is different because the request animation frame just keeps doing its thing, even if the browser is brought down. So, anyways, kind of went through all that, and this is just a bizarre thing because this is showing. Well, actually, it was, and we actually fixed it. It was showing that everything was passed, but then it was throwing errors in the output. So, yeah, and that's because Jasmine Karma was done. It had tested everything. It was all done. Everything passed, and then it brought itself down, but the request animation frame behind here is still running, and that's what that's all about. And I don't know I don't know that there's any really best practices or anything around that. But anyway, so now I like to get to 100% coverage, and we have this bizarre thing that I literally have never seen where we have 100% coverage except for branches. So we have one branch that's uncovered, and that's because I have a default value here, and I guess I never ever set that to false. And I don't remember why this delete mesh has a should delete. This should be. Oh, okay, I see. Oh, that's actually pretty clever. So basically, I have a delete, and then uh, if yeah, and if it gets called, and we were like, oh wait, no, it's actually being used someplace else, then delete is not set to true, and then we don't delete it because we still want it to be in the mesh dictionary, even though that. I don't know exactly why I did that. I'm sure it's code that I put for future growth, and I generally try to avoid future growth code because it makes things very like if you don't guess right, you can actually paint yourself into a corner, and so I want to avoid that. Say Control P, Control V, ST mesh service spec. All right. So basically, we just want to call this function with this boolean set to false. So delete mesh. And it doesn't look like I ever even call this period. And I guess that makes sense because I think we added this function for um, it should delete a mesh. I'll just say not delete a mesh. I don't know exactly why I did that. I kind of want to just get rid of it, but I can't remember why I did it. But it doesn't look like I'm calling it. I don't know. I don't know what the best thing to do is. But anyways, so when this thing ran, we did create a service. So it's going to be service dot delete mesh. And we'll just give it a number. We should be able to just call it, and we're going to send it in a false. And then we're going to expect 1, 2 equal 1. So basically, we're just trying to guarantee a pass at this point, just to make sure. What does this thing return? It returns a boolean, so I would imagine the boolean is should delete is literally what we sent in there. So if you send it a true, it's going to return true. If you send it a false, it's going to return a false. I don't know if it's ran. It doesn't look like it ran to me. Maybe it did. I don't think so, though. Okay. Okay, so that didn't make a difference. I don't really understand why it didn't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually focus on this one. And let's see what we get here. Okay, so it only ran the one thing. So let's see what we get. Okay, so now we know that this ends up getting called. So, oh, and I sent in, well, and then let's call this again, but we'll set it to true this time. And I really am more fixated. I have two kind of goals. One is to get to 100%. The other is to be able to understand every line of code. Those are the two goals. Okay, so it looks like this is running. It's so weird. This is set to false. And I'm calling this one. I'm setting it to true. I'm setting it to false, but it looks like it does that. Anyways, so you know what? I'm just going to delete it. I don't know why it's there. I don't think I want to go that direction anyways. Like, I'm in the right mesh service spec. Okay. Maybe I'm. Oh, that's right. I'm getting confused by that. All right, so I'm just going to get rid of this boolean altogether. I don't know how to get to 100% on that. I don't know if this breaks anything. This will, like, I would be really, really nervous right now if, I'm just going to say const or let deleted to true, and I'm just going to return deleted. Now it's weird because delete geometry for STMesh. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so on line 103, it'll be actually very interesting to see if this ends up breaking anything. I don't think it will. I think that was a bad effort at, so hopefully this updates. Okay, so something is screwy because that isn't what the code looks like. So now I'm starting to think I should rerun. And it ran everything. Okay, now I'm completely lost. Okay, there we go. All right, we're 100%. Like I said, I would be a lot more nervous about that if we didn't have the end-to-end tests. I don't think we're using it, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I guess I should do this. Okay, so we have no branches. All right, so let's see what we got here. So we have 100% on that guy. It's this ST animation server, which I think might actually be a brand new. I don't know. But yeah, here's that. So we have so this one takes an animation number and all that. All right, so this is what we'll work on tomorrow, which will be Saturday. Just trying to finish this out, commit a unit test commit, and then we have end-to-end tests that we need to do as well. That's absolutely a fact this time. Always happy coding, everybody. Bye.